Today, we're going to talk about how to break free from hustle culture. I'm going to share 4 tips with you. They all build upon each other. And we're going to talk about how these tips and how breaking free from hustle culture will help you connect to your divine feminine energy, no matter what gender you are. And yeah, let's dive into today's episode. I love that. That's a really good one. Good for grounding. I'm recording already.
Perfect. We entered the time portal, baby, where it just time is
Yeah.
illusory, it doesn't exist.
Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen. Here you'll get to eavesdrop on connected women's conversations about self-love, confidence, healing, relationships, creativity, and more. I'm your host, Celia Antonio, and I am your guide to getting you grounded into your body, feeling your full spectrum of emotion, and expanding your fullest self-expression. I also pop in here from time to time with solo episodes where I give you tips, tricks, and resources like meditations, visualizations, and all the things to get you grounded, to get you to feel, to get you to alchemize, and to get you to expand and express yourself fully. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I invite you to now put your hands on your heart, take a deep breath, set a tone for how you want to be as you show up for this podcast, take what resonates in this podcast, leave out what doesn't resonate, and take some time to reflect and to contemplate. And if there's anything in the podcast you want to chat about, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at selfexpressbabe. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's get started. Welcome to Openly Spoken. My name is Celia. If it is your first time here, I am so grateful that you found this podcast. If it is not your first time here, I want to ask you to please support the podcast by either rating us on Apple or on Spotify or wherever it is that you listen to this podcast. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. All right, today we're going to be talking about how to break free from hustle culture. And I have 4 tips for you. And these tips, they're not really like this isn't like a linear process, but I put them in this order on purpose because I feel like they all build upon each other. Okay. All right. So first I want to share why I even wanted to share this video and make this video in the first place is because we live in a system that really perpetuates hustle culture. It's the system that we've labeled as the patriarchy, which I don't really like this word because then it depending on who you say the patriarchy to, people take it as because like a patriarch is technically a man, and because men are more in power and all that stuff, then it's kind of like we're going to this space where like we're blaming men for problems. And while there is some truth to that like the bigger picture is that the patriarchy and the system that we have isn't helpful for anyone. And everyone is suffering from this disconnection from their inner divine feminine energy. Everyone is also, because of the patriarchy, suffering this disconnection from even like having a healthy relationship with their masculine energy, which that could be a totally different episode. But so that's why I wanted to make this episode, is because the way our culture is, we don't really give ourselves space to sit and connect. And we're here hustling to do all these things and to reach our goals and to reach our dreams, but that's not the best strategy. And with these tips, you will still be able to reach after what it is that you want and desire in this life. And you might even change what it is that you desire, because the thing about being in this go, go, go energy and being hustling is sometimes we're moving towards something so fast that we don't actually want. It's just this thing that like we think we should want, or we think we should do, or that our parents put onto us, or that society put onto us. And all these tips are going to help us break free from that. So let's get into it. So the first tip is gratitude. And before you fast forward to the next chapter, hear me out for a second, because I know that you've heard to follow gratitude like a million times. I know that it's a tip that is kind of exhausted in saying, but I want to talk about how we practice gratitude. Typically, when people practice gratitude, we're sitting and thinking about things that we're grateful for having. Like, I'm grateful for this glass of water, grateful for my phone, grateful for internet. And it's very like surface level. But if we can go deeper than that, I think that is going to really help because gratitude creates this like inner environment of you feeling safe. And that's going to lead into our next tip. But let's talk about how to actually practice gratitude with more depth so that you can create some safety within you so that you can feel safe to break away from hustle culture. So the first tip is to feel gratitude and express gratitude for people that you have in your life. So thinking of specific people that you are friends with, that you have relationships with, that you've maybe even like read a book from or watched, and really sit and think about that, write that down. You can even contact that person. You can even write them a letter and express that. Because the thing is with relationships, I am currently in a space where I am getting obsessed with the idea of relationships and that I just see relationships everywhere. Relationships are a part of what makes us human. We don't exist on this earth alone. We can't. We can't exist here alone. We're social creatures. So, a part of doing gratitude for the people that you have is it just creates this. I don't even know how to put words to it. It's like this nurturing bubble of love because you're also bringing in the socializing aspects of it where you are purposely making yourself feel grateful for how you are connected to other people. And I think that is a very helpful thing to remind your brain and your body and your soul about so that you can start to feel safe to break away from your long ass to-do list and whatever else hustle culture has brought into your life. Another really good way is something that I actually want to share from a book that I just finished reading called Burnout. And it's by Emily Nagoski and Amelia Nagoski. And they talk about writing gratitude about specific events in your life. And they actually list out this kind of like long process. But what I would recommend, so that I'm not just reading straight out from this book, is to maybe, if you can, every night before bed, write down or record a voice note and talk about how you are grateful for one specific event that happened in your life. And something that's suggested in this book is to write, or since I said to record a voice note, you can also say everything that happened, including like all the details of who's involved and what everyone was talking about, what was said, and then describe how this event made you feel, and then describing the outcome. So those are the steps written in the book. So again, I think this is tied back to this socializing and relationship aspect that we don't exist here on earth alone. And doing a practice like this reminds us of our connection to other people. And the more we feel connected to other people, the more whole we end up feeling, because that's just how our minds, that's just how we were evolved to be. We were social creatures. And this relationship topic is something that you're going to hear about in future episodes. I'm currently like just obsessing how everything is relationships. Little tangent here. Everything is a relationship. If you are someone who paints, there's a relationship between you and your paintings. There's a relationship between you and how you create those paintings. If you sell the paintings, there's a relationship between you and your business. There's a relationship between you and your body, between you and your mind. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's not only with humans. And yes, that is a big one as well. We know who we are more deeply the more we relate to other people because they mirror things back to us. especially in the closest of the closest relationships. We first learn about who we are from our parents. And then from there, we learn about who we are from maybe our siblings, and then our best friends, and then our lovers and boyfriends, husbands, girlfriends, them friends, all of these people, they're mirrors and they're reflecting back to us who we are. There's also this, I'm really resisting the urge to go off on the tangent about this and to come back into these 4 tips for hustle culture. So that's the first one, the gratitude. The next one, and the reason why I put gratitude first, is because gratitude creates some safety for you to then be able to do this next tip, which is rest. We need to rest more. And rest isn't only sleeping. Rest is also taking time to just like really be with, let's say you go on a lunch break today, to really be with your plate of food and to not be scrolling on your phone as you're eating, to really just take a moment to to pause, to pause and take in your environment, take in the food, and maybe some gratitude will emerge from there, from like the farmers that made the broccoli and like whatever else is on your plate that other people created. See, this is another example of how relationships are everything. There's a relationship that we don't even know about between you and the people that grow food for you, because you end up eating their food. And again, I will resist the urge to go off on that relationship tangent and save that for future episodes. So resting more. I'm just going to open up my phone because I actually wrote some notes about this. Okay, so I mentioned being with your food, also doing things like meditations, breath work. One of my favorite ways to rest is doing yoga nidra. If you've never heard of yoga nidra before, it's kind of like you lay down and the person facilitating is guiding your awareness to different parts of your body. So they'll tell you like, relax your left toe, and then relax your fourth toe, your third toe, your second toe. Like it'll go through all the parts of the body and you'll just be fully surrendered. And if you want to know my favorite yoga nidra, that's actually for free on YouTube. And it's my favorite because it's a yoga nidra and then there's a sound bath afterwards. And I absolutely love it. It's a video I've seen a million times and I have it saved on a playlist. So if you want that, just DM me on Instagram and let me know that you watched this video and that you want to know what the yoga nidra is. My Instagram is at selfexpressedbabe. Okay, so for resting, let me just make sure I got all of that. The last one is honoring your body. I think honoring your body is a form of rest, because our minds, I think, move a little bit faster than our bodies, especially when we're conditioned to live in hustle culture. There's this go, 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 go from like as soon as we wake up in the morning, even when our bodies are a little, I'm tired, I'm not awake yet. And there's a balance here that's going to be different for everyone. So, because sometimes that push to do the action and to do the goal is good for us, but there are other times where we need to slow the F down. And that's going to be different for everyone. So I'm not going to tell you how to rest. You know how you need to rest. You know what your body needs. Okay, so now let's move on to the third step. The third step to break away from hustle culture. So those first 2 tips were all about safety. And the reason why I put those tips first is because it will really feed into not only breaking away from hustle culture, but into this next and third tip, which I think is forgotten about a lot. And that tip is to play, have more time to play, to do things that you enjoy just for the sake of doing them. I was actually just on a call where someone was talking about learning an instrument, not to become a composer one day or to become a master of it one day, but learning an instrument simply to rest in the music. And I think that is so beautiful. And So, with this aspect of play and how we can use play to break away from hustle culture, there's a lot here. And I think a big part of it is connecting with our inner child and connecting with what are the things that you really loved and enjoyed doing when you were a kid, and seeing if there's any way that you can make any space to do that in your adult life, even if it's just once a week. And this is going to be especially helpful for people who are experiencing desiring more confidence in their life or desiring to be more self-expressed in their life. Usually in my experience with clients that I've worked with, it's this part of our inner child that wasn't given space to be free. And so as an adult, you get to kind of like go back in time and give yourself that childhood freedom by connecting with your inner child. And I think another amazing aspect of this piece of play and why it can help you break away from hustle culture is when we make more space to play, there's a sense of rest that comes, like our previous tip, because we're just enjoying our experience. And then in that, creativity can be born. And we can go to the next tip I want to share with you, which is creating your own rules, creating your own idea of what success is for you, creating your own path of what you want to do. And there's a lot here as well, because it might take some time to like sit down and assess, like, why am I going after this? I'll just give an example of like, why am I in medical school? Do I really love and enjoy this? And is this really how I want to be of service of people? Or am I just trying to please my parents because they think that the only way I can succeed in life is if I'm a doctor, a lawyer, or I forgot what the third one is. That's like the most common. Um, is it that, or do you really love it? And I think, like I said earlier, there's no like linear process to this, but I think if you really take the time to give yourself the time and space to practice gratitude, and I really stress the time, because over time of doing any practice again and again and again, you'll experience more depth and you'll experience more benefits. If you really take the time to practice the gratitude, to practice the rest, to practice having more space to play, I think that it can really open up this new way of knowing who you really are. And that is so important when we're talking about your precious time of where you are taking actions to reach whatever dreams, goals, and desires it is that you want, because you only are in this human body once. And if you are only in this human body once, and you know that we're all careening towards our deathbeds, and this happens just once, and then we're done. Why would you waste? I don't want to say the word waste. Why would you spend your time doing things that aren't exactly leading to the life that you want? Right? And this is why it's so liberating to break free from hustle culture, and all of these pieces that I shared, and even the whole concept of breaking free from hustle culture will help you connect with your divine feminine energy. And as you connect with your divine feminine energy, especially if you are someone that like really identifies with being someone who is more soft and who feels a lot, who has a lot of emotions, these are the things that we usually label as feminine. And I want to be very careful when I say this, because I'm not a proponent of like females should be like this and males should be like that. No, this does not have anything to do with gender. It's just this labeling of certain qualities that because we live in a patriarchy aren't usually given space to be celebrated. They're usually shamed. They're usually they're usually stomped down in the name of being productive, in the name of making more profit than last year, in the name of smashing your limiting beliefs and anything else that you can think of that is just like a very popular, sometimes helpful, but not the healthiest way to go about things. And so if you are someone who wants to break free from hustle culture, I hope that these tips helped you. If you are someone who is a woman or a non-binary being who wants a practice to help yourself slow down, to help yourself connect with your body, I do have a course that is called Heart Magic, and it's actually a breast massage and embodiment course. And one of the benefits of it is that it helps you break away from hustle culture. So if that's something you're interested, I will have the link in the show notes below. I would also love to know, no matter who is watching, which of these tips were your favorite. Let me know in the comments. And that is all I have for you today. I hope that these tips help you, and I will see you in the next episode. All right, bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Openly Spoken. I know that there's an abundance of content online, so I really appreciate you giving me your ears today. If this episode shifted something for you, please share this with a friend and/or write us a podcast review if you're listening to this on iTunes so that more people can find this. If anything shifted for you from this episode that you want to have a conversation about, I would love to hear from you. Just send me a DM over on Instagram at selfexpressbabe, and that is in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.